Hi guys, so this is my next Smart Notebook tutorial where I'm going to give you a little bit more information about some of the things that you can create using Smart Notebook. So I'm going to talk to you today about creating shapes and making them so that they can move and be cloned. So this menu up here, right here, gives you the option to build shapes. Now the pointer is an important option because that allows you to select objects and move them along. But at the moment I don't have any objects, so I want to create one. So I'm going to go to my shape, I'm going to click on that, and it brings up some different things I can do. It gives me choices of the actual shape, the color, what I want the lines to look like, and whether I want it to be opaque or transparent. So let's just say I want to create a circle. Then it brings me this sort of crosshairs. That lets me know that I'm building a shape now. So if I click down and then I drag, it'll start to create my circle. And because this is going to be a perfect circle, it's got that little dot in the center. So I can decide how big I want it to be, and then when I let go, my shape is created. Now because I still have the crosshairs, I am still in circle creating mode. Anywhere I click, I'm going to keep on creating circles. If I don't want to be creating circles anymore, I have to go back up to my menu. I either have to change my shape, so maybe I've decided I want to do triangles now. I still have my crosshairs, but now I'm making triangles. Or if I want to do something with these shapes, I have to go back to my arrow. That's my select. That's the only way I can pick these up and move them and edit them. So as you saw, I just clicked right there and it selected that circle for me. And again, it brought up these choices. So now I can look and say, if I click on that, I want it to be filled with purple. And maybe I want the line to be the same color, or the outline. I want the outline to be purple as well. When I click back out, I've got my purple circle. I can grab the corner, I can still adjust the size for it. Because I'm still on my arrow, let's say I select this shape. Now this time I'm going to play with the line a little bit, my line style. So I can make my line nice and thick. You can see right here how it changes, or I could make sort of a dashed dot line and it will change immediately so I can see what I'm doing here. And then the last shape, again, I'm still on my selecting arrow, so I can move on and change this shape as well. When I click on it, and say this one I'm going to play with the transparency. So first I'm going to make it filled with a color. And click on that. I'm going to fill it with red. I'm going to leave the line black this time. But now I want to play with the transparency. I don't want it to be completely opaque. I can grab this and I can slide it along, and you'll see it will sort of fade out until it's almost like a watermark. Okay. So as you create objects that way, you can edit your objects using this menu up here. Now, I can also move them. I'm on my selected arrow, so I can grab an object and I can move it anywhere I want around the screen. Now, this can be great, but also very difficult if students are grabbing objects when they're interacting with the board and moving them. Sometimes you want them to be able to move things, and sometimes you want the object to stay still. So you've got control over that as well. When you click on the object, click directly on it, you've got more options here. This is your resizing option. The green dot will rotate, which doesn't show you that much on a circle, but let's say I'm rotating this triangle. You can see it rotate. And then this arrow right here gives you some more things that you can do to the menu. Okay. One thing you can do to the object is lock it. When I go over to lock, I have one option to lock it in place. That freezes it. While I'm on this arrow here, if I click on it, there's a little lock right there. It means no matter how much I try to move it, it'll just bounce all over there, but I can't move it, which is fantastic for some sorts of things that you'll create with your students. Now, there's other options. So maybe I go to that arrow, and I want to not lock in place. I want them to be able to move it, but I don't want them to be able to edit it. So at the moment, if my students clicked on this, they could go and change it to yellow if they wanted to, because it's still open. Or they could rotate it or do whatever they wanted. Now, maybe I don't want them to be able to edit it, but I want them to be able to move it. So I can click on that arrow, I can go to lock, and I can do allow move. So now they can move that object, but they cannot change the features of it. And then the last option there, if I click on this, is allow, move, and rotate. And that's exactly what it is. You can move it around, you can rotate the object, but still you wouldn't be able to change text, change features, change colors, things like that. Okay? So that is one thing you can do when setting up. So this object, I can move it because I've clicked on allow move. This is completely frozen in place, and this one is open and available for editing. And then the last thing I wanted to show you with this is the infinite cloner. It's a pretty cool option. If you click on an object, you have to have it unlocked. Now if you have locked an object and then you want to make a change, you can unlock it. You click on that lock and you click unlock. Now your students will learn how to do that as well, but it just basically makes the program easier to interact with when you're using it in the classroom. So now that my object is unlocked again, I can click on that down arrow and I can go to infinite cloner. When I do that, this object, anytime I grab it and drag off, it clones itself. And it will do that forever. So I can grab and drop as long as I want. Now these objects right here aren't infinitely cloned, so I can move them, but this one will just keep on repeating and building itself. So let me show you some reasons why you might want to do infinite cloning. One thing I've done with my students in the past was a patterning activity. And so in this screen right here, I have all of these squares locked in place. You can tell if I click on one of them, they're all locked, because I don't want them to be able to move. I want that to be sort of a framework that my students are using. But these right here are infinitely cloned. You can see the infinity sign right there on each of them. So if I'm teaching my students a lesson on patterning, they have these 4 choices here. I can have one student come up and begin a pattern, and then another student might pop up and say, yep, I can repeat that pattern. And they can keep on grabbing these and putting them there on the frame that I've created. And they will not run out because it's infinitely cloned, so there's plenty of them. But then another student might want to come up and create a different pattern. They can use the infinitely cloned shapes and create a different pattern. So that's one reason you might want to infinitely clone something. Another thing I've done in the past is this is an addition activity for my students, and I want them to be able to create different types of addition sentences. So all of these objects are locked. My text box is locked, all of the fish images here are locked, my fish bowl is locked, but this fish right here is infinitely cloned. So it allows them to begin to create a story. So they can say 2 fish, and then use the pen to say 2 fish plus, they can grab some more fish and say 1, 2, 3 fish, and write that in, equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fish all together. Obviously, this math problem was not predetermined, so you can take those answers right from students. Say, how many fish do you want to start with? How many fish do you want next? And because this object is infinitely cloned, you can keep on pulling it out and using it to create your math problem. All right, so those are some reasons why you might want to infinitely clone an object. All right, and so that's what you can do with creating objects, locking them, allowing them to move, and cloning them. Hope that was helpful. Leave me a comment and let me know what you want to learn about next.